right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education, Doctor of Education virtual webinar. My name is Sion John, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, we have Dr. Camille Bryant, Professor and Interim Director of the Doctor of Education program. We also have SOE alum Richard Rosen and my colleague Jennifer Coveney from Financial Aid. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. Also, please take a second to see if your mic is on mute right now. Please have your mic on mute at all times during the presentation. In addition, please turn off your video. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please type your question in the chat box and Dr. Bryant and I will read and answer your questions. And we are taking attendance today, so please sign in with your first and last name. Next, I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual webinar. We will kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Bryant will introduce herself and discuss an overview and details of the Doctor of Education program. Then Richard Rosen will share about his experience in the EdD program. And lastly, I'll wrap it up with admissions requirements and leave the floor open for questions at the end. To start, quick facts about Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,608 students and offer more than 30 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. We have approximately 121 full-time faculty members and a really strong network of 23,000 School of Education alumni. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. At this time, I am going to hand the floor over to Dr. Bryant. She will introduce herself and present on the Doctor of Education program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Camille Bryant. I'm the Interim Director of the EdD program. I'm an associate professor, and I am trained as a research methodologist. So my interest is in using quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods research to explore research methods self-efficacy among graduate students, program evaluation, as well as the role of contextual factors on the implementation of educational problems. So these are just a few pictures of some of our students in the EdD program from our orientation residency, which I will talk about later on in the presentation. So the EdD program is designed to prepare an exceptional core of educators and educational leaders who can set a high standard for education and are equipped to meet the myriad challenges associated with improving learning outcomes in both public and private educational environments. So who is our degree ideal for? The Doctor of Education degree is ideal for experienced practitioners who seek to augment their knowledge and skills with respect to examining real-world problems of practice within their context of professional practice, as well as creating powerful interventions based on research informing you about what works, and rigorously evaluating changes made within your context. So in terms of our program at a glance, we require a minimum of 90 graduate credits beyond the bachelor's degree. So a master's degree is required for admission into the program. And your master's degree, typically, you would have completed between 30 and 36 credits. Up to 36 credits can be transferred and will be transferred automatically with the potential for 6 additional credit hours. So a minimum of 48 credit hours must be completed at Hopkins. So our specializations or our content-focused areas do vary by cohort. So you want to make sure that you look at the website to see our most up-to-date specializations. For the 2020 cohort, we are admitting students into 3 specializations. The first is entrepreneurial leadership and education, as well as mind, brain, and teaching, and urban leadership and education. There are additional specializations, the online teaching and learning or instructional design, as well as technology integration K through 16. So those specializations we will not be admitting into for the 2020 cohort. So in terms of our program features, the EdD program provides a rigor, relevance, and a powerful intervention. So students are exploring a problem of practice as they enter the program and as they go through our program, and then develop and design an intervention that addresses that problem of practice. Another program feature is that students typically complete it within 3 to 4 years. It is an online asynchronous program, so instruction is done asynchronously with some synchronous support. And the dissertation is taken up within coursework. So as you're going through the program and going through your coursework, you will be completing components of the dissertation within your coursework. So in terms of our curriculum structure and coursework, 12 credits plus electives are aligned with the Foundations of Education courses. In addition, there are applied research and evaluation courses, which includes 9 credit hours. There are specialization area courses that includes 12 credit hours plus electives. And then the applied dissertation includes 9 credit hours. So there are a few transition points as you are involved in the program. These transition points are meant to demonstrate competency mastery in both written and oral assessments. So the first transition point is the year 1 paper, and this is where you are examining a factor related to the problem of practice. As I said earlier, that one of the components of this program is that you are exploring a real-world problem of practice within your context. And so the year 1 paper allows you to first explore the literature to understand the factors that are contributing to the problem. And then you would conduct an empirical study to examine those potential factors within your context to determine which of those factors are salient. Another transition point is the comprehensive examination. This is an oral examination following year 2, and it's focused on core courses. The next transition point is the dissertation proposal. So this is when you are defending how you have explored the problem within your context through the literature and through that empirical study, how you have explored the literature again to examine potential interventions related to those salient factors, determined from your empirical exploration within your context. And then you are also proposing how you are going to intervene. So kind of taking everything together, what you understand about the literature, what's salient within your context, what the literature has proposed in terms of how to intervene to address those problems, you would then develop an intervention that you are going to implement within your context. And you would defend all of these key components through the dissertation proposal process. And that is an oral defense. And then finally, you have the dissertation, which is also defended orally. So once you have implemented that intervention, you are would conduct a study to determine whether or not that intervention worked and how it was implemented. And the totality of that work would be defended in the dissertation. So what is the applied dissertation, as I was talking about? This is the final and most significant requirement for the EdD degree. It's the culmination of independently completed but closely interrelated projects. These projects are, again, embedded within your coursework and distributed across those 3 years. So that initial exploration of the literature, that empirical examination of those factors within your context, that second literature review where you are exploring interventions, designing the intervention, all of those components are embedded within the coursework. As stated earlier, the focus of the applied dissertation is on a problem of practice within your context of professional practice. And there's the potential for significant change within the content of your professional practice. And there are also implications for policy through this applied dissertation. So in order for students to navigate through all of these different transition points, we have various support structures that are aimed at guiding students through that process. One is the online orientation. So prior to matriculating in the fall, if accepted, you would complete an online orientation. In that orientation, you are exposed to the type of technology that our program uses. You are oriented to our library resources, research methods, our ethical training that's required as a doctoral student in our program. And so that first support structure is provided through that online orientation. The next is the face-to-face orientation or yearly residency. So students who matriculate in the fall would be required to attend orientation or to watch all of the different sessions that are provided during orientation if they're not able to attend face-to-face. And this, again, is a time for students to not only have a better understanding about the requirements of the program, but to also have interactions with their cohorts, as well as students from previous cohorts, so that you can listen to their stories and get their advice about how they've navigated this program as a working professional. And then there's also a yearly residency. So as you continue in the program, during this yearly residency, students are provided with sessions that are targeted towards the work that they're doing. So for example, as students are preparing for the comprehensive exam as a transition point, a part of the residency session would be devoted to helping you prepare for comprehensive exams. And again, it's another time where you can connect with your cohort, connect with advisors, and faculty within the program. Another support structure is the faculty cohort lead. This faculty cohort lead is really your first person of contact when you matriculate. So they are the ones kind of supporting you, helping you think through your program of study, providing you with insight and times where you can synchronously collaborate with with peers within your cohort. You're also provided with an advisor. This is the individual who will serve as your dissertation chair. And so your advisor is going to help you with each of the dissertation components and guide you through that process. And then, of course, you have instructors in the program who are supporting you in your work. Another support structure is just that process of refinement of the dissertation with the advisor. So through your coursework, again, you are working on pieces of the dissertation, and alongside you will be your advisor who is providing you with advice on how to, what things you might want to think about and examine as part of your dissertation work, and helping you to refine your dissertation throughout your coursework and your time in the program. Another support structure is the dissertation clinic. The dissertation clinic is designed to provide students with support regarding research methods. We understand that this is often a point of anxiety for students, and so there are a variety of supports that the dissertation clinic offers, from online resources, one-on-one help with our methods faculty, as well as workshops throughout the years. There's also support in terms of the writing clinic. The writing clinic is designed to help students with their academic writing. And these support structures are similar to the dissertation clinic, where there is one-on-one support. There's also workshops, as well as online resources. There are also library webinars, and so our librarians are very thoughtful about where students are in the program and provide webinars to help students with respect to the library resources and aligning that with where students are in the program. And then the other support structure deals with additional online resources, particularly the program and cohort sites. This is where you receive announcements about the program, reminders about registration, and job announcements and things of that nature to support you not only while you're in the program, but as you're thinking beyond the program. So next, I just want to talk a little bit about orientation residency. This is just a picture of one of our cohorts. Generally, 3 cohorts attend orientation residency. Orientation is for students who are matriculating in the fall, and then residency is for students who are coming from older cohorts. So the orientation residency, the orientation is mandatory, as I stated earlier. So students, this is often held between June and July. So prior to matriculating in the fall, you would be expected to attend the online orientation if accepted in the program. Oh, sorry, let me just go back. The mandatory online orientation is the online orientation that you're provided with, as I was saying earlier, the research methods, the ethical considerations, library resources, that deals with the mandatory online orientation. And so once you're accepted into the program, you'll receive information about that and how to complete all of those orientation components. And that is available from June until July. So you would be expected to complete the online orientation prior to the face-to-face orientation, which occurs in late July. So that face-to-face orientation residency, as I said earlier, really is a time for you to connect with your peers, to engage in sessions that are targeted for where you are in the program. It's generally 3 days, and it can be completed electronically from a distance if you're not able to come face-to-face. Residency occurs at the same time as that face-to-face orientation. It's also 3 days. Residency is for students in older cohorts. And again, what's nice about having the face-to-face orientation and residency at the same time is that students who are matriculating in the fall can talk with students from older cohorts. And we are intentional about making sure that students are connected and have opportunities to meet and to talk and to listen to one another in order to support each other as you're going through the program. So orientation and residency allow for program year specific learning to jumpstart your work as a student, to allow for those interactions, not only with other students, but also with faculty. So I wanted to just provide you with information on past dissertation studies to just demonstrate the scope of work that students complete in our program and the variety of topics that students study while in the EdD program. So one study looked at example-based learning to develop information search skills in higher education in the Arabian Gulf. Another study looked at HIV/AIDS infected young adults who are non-adherent with their medication. Another student did a study on education for diversity, how to ensure teacher success in reaching culturally and linguistically diverse populations. Another student looked at entrepreneurship in a Scribo, an edtech company in Brazil. Another student looked at fostering self-regulated learning at an independent school. And another student looked at advisement models to support community college student enrollment and completion. And then another student looked at business and education partnership models of endurance. So as you can see, our students examine a variety of topics across a variety of disciplines within our program.
All right, so at this time, I am going to hand the floor over to our SOE alumni, Richard Rosen.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Bryant. And hello, everyone. The last dissertation that was on Dr. Bryant's slide happens to be my own. So, I will spend a little bit of time telling you about how that comes to be, but I'm thrilled to have a chance to share some of my experiences about what it was like to be in this program, and also, as you'll learn, what it's like to teach in this program, and kind of what drove me to make these selections. So let me tell you just a little bit about me, and then from that, I'm going to tell you why my choice of Johns Hopkins and what it afforded me to do. So I had a 30-year career as a research and development executive, and I live in Columbus, Ohio. And as my training prior to my culmination of work at Johns Hopkins was in engineering and biomedical engineering, and I worked for a company in Columbus called the Memorial Institute, which is the largest independent research and development organization in the world, and with thousands of employees all around the United States and around the world. And a unique aspect of that organization was that it operates as a charitable trust. And so when I completed working as the division senior manager for our health and life sciences businesses, where I had worked a lot with universities in medical research, I had the opportunity to spend my last 10 years running our foundation. And as a charitable trust, the proceeds that Battelle makes in its R&D functions are then provided to the philanthropy fund, and then those are distributed to charitable causes around the country. And the primary one is for education of men and women for employment. So I had the opportunity and the privilege to operate that organization, and its focus was in science, technology, engineering, and math. related activities because that was the type of company that we were. And it was about the time I started doing that I already had designs. You might ask, why would somebody like me at the end of this type of career want to and be attracted to something like the Hopkins EdD program? And it was actually because around midway through the work I was doing at Patel, one of the things that I encountered a lot in my problem of practice was that we were funding a lot of private businesses to encourage them to work at their local schools and their local universities. We were working on a lot of policy initiatives that we felt were important for workforce development, all types of things like that. And in the process of doing that, I gained a pretty good understanding of what it was like to try to start some of these businesses. What I thought I had some ideas of what caused some of them to do well and what caused some of them to not do well. But most importantly, what I'd learned at that point was that the way these partnerships were designed had something to do with their success, but many other factors also had something to do with their success. I just didn't exactly know what all those were. And what I was really interested to do at the end of this part was to, I wasn't all used up yet, and I wanted to continue to find a way to contribute the experiences that I had in a way that would be useful for advancing the knowledge base of this, as well as trying to help accelerate the entrepreneurial skills of other folks, so that they didn't need to necessarily go through kind of the random journey that some folks do in their careers. I will also say really quickly that what I've just described around my experience is not unique. In my cohort, I was in the 2013 cohort, and I had an opportunity prior to that to work with some of the faculty at Johns Hopkins as a visiting fellow when I retired. What I found in my own cohort were that there were the range of individuals, just as Dr. Bryant mentioned about the range of applied dissertations, the range of individuals in terms of their experiences, in terms of their ages, in terms of their interests, was not just refreshing, it was inspiring, because it was an opportunity for me when I was when I entered the program to have a chance to work alongside cohorts that were across the country, that were doing work in foundations and universities and community colleges, in minority efforts for STEM, all varieties of things and from all varieties of viewpoints. And that was extraordinarily exciting. But my reasoning for first joining the first cohort was that the design that Dr. Bryant described about how this program is put together, from the various supports that are provided to students from the very beginning, all the way to the kind of the interwoven and interconnectedness between advisors and coaches and cohorts, and the sort of systematic way that the program sequence and the arc of learning takes place was extraordinary. And I can tell you as a student experiencing it, that every bullet that she mentioned, I experienced. I didn't actually know that maybe I was experiencing those as they were happening, but they clearly all wove together. And my interest, as I mentioned before, in terms of my desire to want to complete an applied education doctorate, was because I had a variety of very good and deep experiences inside the problems and in these real world problems. But what I wanted was a way to gain the skills to both understand from a scholarly perspective what it was that I was observing. Secondly, how to talk about it. how to explore it, how to advance it, and equally as important, that my interest afterwards was that I wanted to be able to serve as an instructor in a program like this, so that I would have a way with the appropriate supports to help accelerate the entrepreneurial skills for others. So what am I doing now? I am an instructor in the program, and I'm a faculty, an adjunct faculty member that teaches in the Entrepreneurial Leadership and Education program. I'm an example of the kinds of folks in all of these strands in terms of both the practical experiences that the faculty have, as well as the rigor and training to be able to convey it and to help shape and guide other independent studies that advance the work in these fields. And so I've had a chance to teach in all of the entrepreneurial strands. My experience when I was going through the program was basically this. First, I'm in touch still with many of the cohort members from my initial class. And I say that because oftentimes you might think about an online program as being very individual, and in fact it is extremely individual in terms of the guidance for your own studies and to advance your own independent research in important areas that you would bring into this program. But I will tell you that I never felt alone. I felt very, very connected, and as time has moved on, since it seems like a long time ago that I was in and through the program, the learning of or the advancement of technology that enables us to be connected in some very seamless ways. The program itself is an example of a learning program. Improvement science and strategic systems are taught from the very beginning, so that we can all think like systems folks as we approach our problems of practice. And that also applies into the continuous learning and adaptation of the program as it learns and improves with each and every class. So for me, I would just close by saying that I feel at first very fulfilled from the experience that I had going through the program, very, very supported. The faculty that I learned from when I was going through the entrepreneurial program, the entrepreneurial leadership program, are folks that whose lessons have stuck with me, their stories have stuck with me, they have influenced the way I think about the world. I learn from the perspective of the students that I have a chance to advise, and that expands my my own areas of research in business education partnerships. And I would just say that that for me, the ability to have done a program like this, given the circumstances that I was in, and every one of your circumstances will be equally unique, was that the idea of being able to navigate a program like this is sort of dependent on its design as well as your own preparation and kind of mental preparation to get into it. It can seem overwhelming when you think about all the things that Dr. Bryant went through in a hurry to say these are all the things that are going to happen with you if you are admitted into this program. What I can tell you is that the supports are there. It's important to have good organizational mindsets, but there are many tools and there are many many individuals who are there to help ensure that not only do you get started, but you get through it. And I was very appreciative of the help and advice and tips I got from my advisors, and I am like I said, I looked at a number of these programs as I was exploring what I was going to do next in my career. I explored many of the top programs around the country. This one appealed to me instantly because the design of it was so unique in terms of its ability to concurrently guide your own problems of practice in real world areas and enable you to come out of this program with a set of skills that I really think are the types of things that change the world. So with that, I will end my discussion, but I'll stick around in case there's any questions that I might answer at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That was wonderful. All right, moving on to the application requirements for the EdD application. So applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website. Keep in mind there is a $80 application fee when you submit your application. Next, you will need an updated resume or CV. Your personal statement should not exceed more than 750 words. Please visit our website for additional information on your personal statement. Moving on, you should submit 3 letters of recommendation. These letters should include at least the following: a professor who can speak to your competency to conduct rigorous scholarly work, and a professional reference who can attest to your qualifications to pursue a doctorate degree and support for your area of research or problem of practice. Please note that you are able to substitute a professional reference in place of an academic reference if you do not have someone for the academic reference. Next, the GRE is not a requirement for admissions consideration to the EdD program. It is optional for an applicant to submit a GRE test score as part of the application. However, submission of a GRE test score is an opportunity for an applicant to present additional evidence of the quantitative and verbal skills required for the doctoral level study. Official transcript. We need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Again, this is from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Lastly, all applicants will be asked to complete a virtual interview after submitting their application. Some important deadlines. The EdD application is currently open for fall 2020 admission. Application deadline is January 30, 2020. Please keep in mind we need all supporting materials submitted by this date. Applications will be reviewed from February to mid-March. Finally, admissions decisions will be released mid-March. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you are an international student. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. If your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on our website. At this time, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Jennifer Coveney, for information on financial aid.
Good afternoon, this is Jennifer Coveney from the Financial Aid Office. So right now we are looking at the cost estimate of tuition and fees. Estimated tuition for the 2019-20 academic year was $4,374 per 3-credit course. And that was for the first year of the program. And program requirements are 18 courses. Bear with. Okay, excellent. So for financial aid, students that do wish to apply for financial aid will want to complete the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, by March 15th. We also have endowed scholarships. There are a limited number of endowed scholarships. The application is due March 15th. Just to keep in mind that the endowed scholarships are available to students who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents. To apply for the endowed scholarships, you do need to submit the FAFSA as well as the endowed scholarship application form. The endowed scholarship application form is not currently available. It will become available in early 2020 and is due by, typically last year, the due date was March 15th. Along with the endowed scholarships, there are also merit-based EdD scholarships. Those are not awarded by the Financial Aid Office. They are strictly merit-based, and they require no additional application materials. Students are reviewed for the EdD scholarships based on their admissions materials. And just a note that international students, as well as students who are U.S. citizens and permanent residents, are eligible for merit-based scholarships.
Thank you, Jennifer. If you have any questions relating to your application, please feel free to email or call us. Also, this is the address you would use to send any supporting materials. And I've been receiving a lot of messages asking whether if this video will be sent to you guys after the event. Yes, the recorded video will definitely be sent to everyone. Please give us 1 week and the video will be shared. But this is our email and our mailing address as well. And here are additional contact information. For any admissions related questions, please contact my colleague, Tanya McMillan. And if you have any program related questions, please contact Kathy Chow. Thank you for attending the Doctor of Education virtual webinar. At this time, Dr. Brian, Richard, and I would like to open up the floor for questions. We have our very first question from Emily. I recognize this program has an applied dissertation examining a problem of practice. How is the committee selected? Since my field is very specialized, am I able to bring in an expert from my field to sit in on this committee? Dr. Bryant?
Yes, Emily, that's a great question. Your committee is comprised of three members. 2 of those members should be full-time Hopkins faculty. The other committee member can be an external person. And I have served on committees in the same position where the student wanted someone with very specialized expertise. And so students are able to do that as long as that person has a terminal degree. They can serve on your committee as well.
Wonderful. We have, it looks like 2 questions relating to financial aid. What percentage of students receive financial aid? This is from Tim. Jennifer, would you like to take that one?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So for financial aid, students predominantly receive federal financial aid. So as long as you are a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and complete the FAFSA, graduate students should be eligible for up to $20,500 in the federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loan per academic year. In addition to the Stafford loan, students who need additional funds can also apply for the credit-based Federal Direct Graduate Plus loan. For the scholarships, I can speak to the endowed scholarships. We do have a limited number of endowed scholarships. So students who are awarded a scholarship typically receive between $500 and $1,500 for the academic year. And it is a limited number, so the majority of our students do not receive scholarship funding.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I think that answers the second question that we had for the financial aid. Next question we have from Paul is, how diverse is the applicant pool in terms of prior education experience? Meaning, are students admitted that are from outside of the education field, for example, training, teaching in a sales setting?
Yes, so we do admit students who have a background that is not education. The main thing to consider is this notion of the problem of practice and the applied dissertation. And so when we are admitting students, we're wanting to make sure that your problem of practice addresses an educational problem, and that what you would learn in our program can be applied to help not only explore the problem, but to intervene with that problem. And so we have students who are occupational therapists, many have a business background, some are from nonprofit organizations, we've had a medical doctor, and so we do admit students from a variety of backgrounds, but it's important that their problem of practice and using what they learn in the program to examine and intervene in that problem should be centered in education. So the next question, so I'm curious regarding student outcomes, what percentage of students graduate from this program based on initial admission? Do you have a student graduate's contact that can be shared to learn about their experience in the program? So Emily, our graduation rates across cohorts range from about 60 to 65, upwards to 70%. We're kind of looking at that data now for our latest cohort that just graduated. And I think that retention rate just kind of speaks to the amount of support that's provided to students. And so we don't have a student contact. Rich, if you're interested in providing your contact, please feel free to put that in the chat. And if you, Emily, if you want to contact me directly, I would be happy to connect you with one of our students. They would love to talk with you.
I will put it in right now.
All right, great.
Thank you, Richard.
There's another question. Is it recommended that aspirants have scientific publications? How wide is the publication experience of candidates of the EdD? What does that have to be? We do not require students to have published work coming into the program. Usually that happens as a result of being in our program. So most students are publishing their work close to graduation or after graduating from our program. And is it possible to have a second professor advisor for dissertation from another university? Yes, we do have co-advisors. So you have a main advisor who would be a Hopkins faculty member, and you could have a co-advisor from another university. That's part of our advising model. And I think I may have answered question number 3 already for Maria. So what happens if I change jobs or job titles during the course of study? Will my problem or practice need to change as well? This is a great question. This does happen. Sometimes students change jobs, and it depends on the nature of the problem. Usually, and you would work closely with your advisor to determine if you would have to, and it depends on where you are in the program as well. So for example, if you've already done that empirical study to explore the problem within your context, you may have to refine some of that work or collect a little more data within your new context, just to make sure that you have the full understanding of the problem within that new setting. If it happens kind of once you're in the intervention stage, there usually are opportunities for you to continue that intervention or to rethink the timeline of that intervention so that you're able to collect the data that's needed to complete the dissertation. But we do work with students that does happen, and students have still graduated and been successful in our program even with changing a job. Can coursework in this program be considered for the PhD program? So Ramina, right now, our coursework in the EdD and the PhD programs are different, and so you would not be able to transfer across programs unless you're wanting, at least not for core courses. You could potentially, I can't speak for the PhD program, but if you're coming from a PhD program into our program, you could potentially transfer up to 6 credits from that program as elective courses. Elin asked about the MDT specialization. This is not a new specialization. When this program started in 2013, the mind, brain, and teaching specialization was one of those concentration areas. This specialization looks at the role of neuroeducation and brain science in understanding how students learn and how to intervene in terms of the particular problem of practice. I can also give you a contact for that specialization lead, and she can provide you with more information if you're interested. Okay, Jamie, thank you. I will note your email. The lead of our entrepreneurial leadership and education program is Dr. Henry Smith. And he would also be happy to chat with you one-on-one about that program, as well as Rich Rosen, who teaches courses and works closely with Henry in that program. The instructional design specialization, Travis has commented, so this specialization wasn't dropped, it's just not being offered for the 2020 cohort. So we are thinking that we will admit students into that specialization either in the 2021 or the 2023 cohort. It is optional to explore a problem around instructional design through another specialization, but just know that your coursework will not be in instructional design. It will be in whatever specialization that you are choosing to explore, or are the specialization that you're admitted to.
And we have time for one more question. It's 5 o'clock. There is a question from Emily, in regards to how our advisors assign, is it based on the problem of practice, the specialization of the student, or availability?
It's kind of all of the above. So we first look at students' problem of practice and the expertise of our faculty and their how many advisees they have to begin making matches. What happens is that the matching process is not just an assignment, but it's an agreement between the advisee and the potential advisor. So you first have a meeting. You discuss not only the problem of practice, you're really just kind of getting to know one another. And at the end of that conversation, you both decide whether or not you feel that it's a good fit. So it's not really an assignment. It's really more about matching that happens through conversation. But that initial pairing happens through the expertise of faculty with respect to that student's problem of practice, and in addition to their availability, and also just the strength of that advisor for that particular student. An advisor may have a specific set of skills that would be helpful to that potential advisee.
All right, so thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Dr. Bryant, Richard, and Jennifer for joining us today.